thank you all for coming very much. Really, really appreciate it. My name is Jeff. I work with John, Deborah, and Scott in the commercial print area at Suncoast. And this is the third one of these we've done. We did 2 of these last week. And they've been really, really good. Ron does a great job with these. Ron's been with the been in the newspaper business his entire career, going back to like pre-high school career. He's done a little bit of everything and a lot bit of something. And the topic that we advertise, how to do great things inexpensively. Ron's done a really nice job of nailing that with his presentation. So I hope you find it beneficial. Anytime Ron's speaking, if you have a question or a comment, feel free to raise your hand and interject. It'd be great. So one thing I'd like to mention though, at the end, we're going to leave 20, maybe 30 minutes for kind of an open ideas exchange or ask questions, whatever you'd like to do. One of the real benefits that we found over these events that we've held them is there's all your peers sitting here in the room with you, and they have the same questions, concerns, problems as you do. And we've had a lot of people walk out with some answers to questions they've been trying to answer. Is there any way to help them? So I would suggest you do that, or if you have a great idea, some success story you've had that you wouldn't mind sharing, that'd be a nice opportunity for that also. So with that said, Ron's going to start now. We'll take a quick break once the lunch is delivered. So, Ron?
Ready? Shoot. Alrighty. Hello there. My name is Ronald DuPont. No relation to the rich ones. But my great uncles are the Wright brothers. So that's kind of cool. I have a 14-year-old son who wants to go into... Use the mic. Let's make ooh, that's loud, isn't it? Alright, I'm going to have to keep this at a distance because I normally talk loud. My son wants to go in aerodynamics now that he found out we have a history with the Wright brothers down the way. Whoop. I have a long history in journalism. I actually started writing for newspapers in 7th grade of middle school. And when I started writing for newspapers, I said, that's what I want to do. And it didn't change. That was my goal. Every class I took, what I did at college. It's funny, you kind of go to college and some people are still trying to make up their mind on what career they might want to go into. Mine started way, way early. And I knew exactly what I wanted to do. A quick history of me. My parents are herpetologists. Study of reptiles. Is anybody else hearing that feedback? Is it this? They are. Yeah, I can't avoid those. Alrighty. So my parents are herpetologists, study of reptiles. I grew up with tens of thousands of snakes, frogs, toads, lizards, and I grew up in West Palm Beach. So just up the road. A little up the road. The story I love to tell, my father worked part-time at Line Country Safari, which is still there. He was in charge of the reptile park. And this was back in the 70s when you could do something like this. He would actually bring home a chimpanzee on the weekends. So we were the only kids on the block to have a chimpanzee at our house on the weekends. And he'd bring home all sorts of exotic animals. If you ever get a chance to look up a capybara, it is about this big. It looks like a rat, but it's about this big, and it is a loyal pet like a dog would be. So I had an amazing childhood. No kids mess with me because I had snakes. I'm the oldest of 9 kids. All my brothers and sisters are still alive and still doing way cool, interesting things. But I started early in journalism. Grew up in West Palm Beach, worked at the Palm Beach Post, was interning for the New York Times at age 19, and have stayed in journalism and have loved it. So what they asked me today, because I've been involved with small newspapers, large newspapers, print side, web side, they wanted me to kind of talk today about some interesting things that you can do to make your product even greater than it already is without spending a lot of money or without spending any money. And it's been pretty incredible the last 2 presentations when people raise their hand and say, oh, I got one better, we can do this. And that's the whole idea behind today. I can't emphasize that enough. He had asked me, he said, hey Ron, how long can you speak? I said, oh, I can speak for 3 hours. And he said, you're on. I don't want to speak for 3 hours. In fact, we only have 2 hours. And the whole idea is for you guys to get involved. So as we start talking about these ideas, if you have something similar or something not similar, bring it up. We only have each other. I mean, it's really getting rough out there. We're trying to come up with ways to tie everything together, to tie web in with print, to bring that revenue in. So we're relying on each other, on everybody in the room here. So the first thing I want to talk about, and when I say this, some of you are going to go, you're going to groan because you've dealt with this before, and we're going to talk about this. One of the best ways that you can make your product better without spending a lot of money, and again, some of you will groan, but we'll talk about this, is interns, student interns. I owned a small weekly newspaper up near University of Florida. It was called the High Springs Herald, and we're only about a half hour from the University of Florida. As you know, the University of Florida has one of the best journalism programs in the country. It's ranked in the top 10. But they're not the only ones. The University of Central Florida has a journalism program. Almost every community college in Florida has some sort of school newspaper and journalism program. So they're all over the place where you can pull from. Here's what happened to me at University of Florida. So here I am with a small rural weekly newspaper. And University of Florida has these internship fairs twice a year. And I really encourage you to not only look at University of Florida's. The last meeting I was at, we heard about University of Central Florida, similar type program. I'm not too familiar with the ones down here with Miami or the community colleges here, but look into it. Here's what happened to me. UF has theirs twice a year, and it's for the College of Journalism. And so the very first one I went to, Tampa Bay Times is there, the Miami Herald is there, all these giant newspapers are there, these giant TV stations are there, Walt Disney World is there, some of the biggest companies in the world because they're recruiting artists that are coming from the College of Journalism for the graphic side of things and the photo side of things. So I show up and I had 2 or 3 people who wanted to interview with the tiny little weekly newspaper that was there. Well, you know what? We brought those people on board, and you guys know the story. If you intern at a larger newspaper, a lot of times you don't get the really cool stuff to do. You're given the briefs, you're doing some of the grunt work. You don't get that awesome experience that you might get at a smaller publication. So I brought on these few interns. They got experience under their belt. They got real clips. They got real stuff that ran and that they could put on their resume. And word grew. And word grew, and word grew that you need to come intern at this newspaper. It took about 2 years, and I love telling this stat. Within 2 years, we went from 2 or 3 people at this internship fair wanting to interview with us to 80. We outpulled the St. Pete Times, now the Tampa Bay Times, the Miami Herald, everybody. In fact, we had to spread it out over 3 or 4 days. Why? Because we were giving them real experience. Now, back in the day, you didn't have to pay interns, and we were driving distance from UF, so I would have anywhere from 5 to 7 interns a semester. I had more writers than a lot of small dailies do, because we already had 2 staff writers plus all these interns. There were times when I would literally run out of story ideas. What do you have them do? So, for you guys, look around where you're at. The best advice I can give you is, unless you're using a photographer or maybe an artist, don't use high schoolers. Again, unless it's a photographer or an artist, you'll hear the term they're more work than they're worth. High schoolers can get you in trouble because they don't understand the intricacies of covering a city council meeting. They can get things wrong. They're still in that, and not picking on them, but they're still at that age where they're at an immature level. And I don't mean that in a party way, but in terms of understanding things. But work with the interns. Here's what ends up happening. You bring on an intern or 2 and work with them. You'd be surprised how many say, "Can I come back?" Well, now you've worked with them, you've trained them on how to do certain things. Now they come back and they know how to do it. And they want to stay on board because they're getting clips that nobody else is giving them. They're able to get great stuff out there. So, we ran into a problem. As you guys know, we're with Suncoast Press, which is with Suncoast Media Group. The problem we have in the area where we are at, we're near Sarasota, Venice, Charlotte County. There's no place to rent in that area unless you got $1,500 for a 1-bedroom home or a 1-bedroom apartment. It is super expensive. I know, I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I'm kind of preaching to the choir here. Very expensive. So we ran into the problem where we wanted interns, but where were they going to stay? So here's what we did, and it worked. It worked. We put in our description with the University of Florida, we actually said, hey, it's rough to find a place to rent while you're here as an intern. So we're looking for students who have family in this area or who have friends in this area so that you have a place where you can stay. So we went and interviewed at the University of Florida. We got about right around 7 applicants apply who had family or friends who lived in the area so that they had a place to stay. So we were upfront about that. We still got, like I said, 5 to 7. We picked 3. And I don't know how it is with the other colleges, but University of Florida offers interns year-round. So you can have a summer intern, fall, spring, so on and so forth. So you can have 1 a semester. They get credit for it. It really pays off. We'll get into this a little bit later. Florida Press Association offers, I don't know how many they do, but they offer scholarships for interns. So if you're at a smaller paper where you go, we just can't afford, even at minimum wage or slightly above minimum wage, to bring on somebody for a very short term, get with the Florida Press Association and apply for one of their scholarships for an intern. And it pays more than minimum wage for a student to come in and work at your publication. So it really pays off. You learn this when you read it out loud. So, editors and publishers, I cannot emphasize this enough. As much as you can, sit with your editor and go over his or her stuff, or editors, sit with your reporters when possible and read their story out loud. Doesn't cost you anything except time, and I know time is money, but it doesn't cost you anything. And I know you can't do it with everybody's story, and I know you can't do it all day long, but pick and choose and make sure you not just read the people's stories who you know need some help, read your superstars as well. And by the way, don't bring them into a back room and read it to them. Read it in the newsroom out loud so everybody else can hear you. You want to get to that point where other people are going, oh, I do that too. Or, oh, I'm going to copycat that. I hadn't thought about that before. So you want everybody to hear what you're doing. Editing somebody's story should never, ever be a negative experience. If you guys remember in high school, we used to get our papers back from the English teacher and be marked up in red. Editing was a negative experience. Don't let it be a negative experience. What I do when I read with the reporter is I try to make it as much of a fun experience as possible. For example, if you get to a part where somebody's, really getting into it and emotional, feel free to act that out when you're reading the quote, and turn on the fake tears, and get your reporter smiling, and then, punch them gently in the arm and go, that's what we're looking for. That's the type of story. Or if somebody ties in, we call it denouement, tying the knot. If they tie in their lead with the end of their story and it ends perfectly, make sure you go, this is perfect. And the same thing with errors. If I'm reading somebody's story and I'm bored after 2 paragraphs, I jokingly go, oh my gosh, I'm having trouble staying awake. And what do you do when you have a reporter who does something like that? And it's usually with a city council story. I always go up to that reporter and I go, all right, you just came back from this meeting. What happened at the meeting? Tell me right now, what happened at the meeting? And usually the reporter goes, well, they voted to do blah, 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 blah. And you go, there's your lead. Why isn't that in your lead? Because they're trying to be all fluffity fluff and they're not leading with what they should lead with. So that you'll learn all sorts of things as you begin editing out loud. Your reporters will get better. My favorite story to tell with interns, when I was at the small weekly, like I told you, 5 to 7 interns a semester, I read all their stories to them out loud. Now, I didn't make them come back to the newspaper. Tuesday nights, because it was a weekly, I would call them. They would call up their story on their screen. I would call it up on my screen, and we would edit it together. I would read it out loud as they would follow along on their screen. So they got used to me talking to them on a Tuesday night and editing their stories with them. All right, we had an intern. Her nickname was Gigi. This becomes important in just a moment. So I'm editing intern stories. Tuesday night, I get done a little bit early. I get home, crawl into bed. About midnight, the phone rings. It's on my wife's side of the bed, the phone. She picks up the phone about midnight. This didn't bother her at all. She took it in stride. She went, Ron, wake up. There's some woman named Gigi on the phone for you. It didn't faze her at all that some woman named Gigi was calling me at midnight. And so I get her on the phone and I said, yeah, Gigi, what's going on? I'm thinking something bad happened. She said, you didn't call me tonight to go over my story. Are you mad? I didn't go over a story with her. They get used to being edited. They want to be edited. It is a fun experience, especially if you as an editor or you as a publisher working with your editor, if you've asked them to change things or get better in a certain area and you've shown them how to do that, they want you to see that. They want you to read through that and go, oh, you did it. You got it in there this time. They want that experience. So again, as much as possible, read the stories out loud with your reporter. And again, publishers, I know you're sitting in the room going, well, I'm not an editor. Publishers, pick one main story in the paper and just sit and read it out loud with the editor. Just read it out loud. And you'll catch your own editor going, oh yeah, you don't even have to say anything. They'll kind of catch on to it as you're reading through it. So it's a really good tactic to pull off. All right. This is a thing that will literally save you money if you're not doing it already. And this has nothing to do with direct editing or how you run your newspaper or your advertising product. As you know, we spend a ton of money off of software. Photoshop now charges a monthly fee. Microsoft charges a monthly fee. All these software companies out there, it used to be you would buy one DVD and it would last for 3, 4, 5 years and you'd finally update after a while. Well, now they know how to charge you. Well, one of the most expensive things out there obviously is Microsoft Office. If you want Microsoft Office, you got to pay for that puppy. Well, Sun Microsystems in California, for whatever reason, got upset with Bill Gates and with Microsoft. So upset that, and this is illegal, he hired people to sit in a room and they reverse engineered Microsoft Office. The entire Microsoft Office suite is online. And I don't expect you to be able to read this all tiny and everything. This is called Open Office. It is free to anybody, including businesses. Suncoast Media Group, I don't know how many employees we have, 400, 700? I don't know how many employees we have. We use Open Office. We don't use Microsoft Office anymore. It is free for businesses and for personal use.
Is it compatible with Microsoft?
Yes.
So if someone sends me a Word document, I can
You can open it with that. Yes. And if you do, by the way, the website for downloading this is called openoffice.org. Openoffice.org. Download this. Your whole company can use it. There is one thing, she said, can you open Microsoft Office documents? Yes. By the way, it not only downloads Microsoft Office, PowerPoint, Excel, all that, and it's compatible and it's free. What I would recommend that you do as publishers or editors or teach your staff how to do it, and I really don't want to do it here because it would take too long, but you go into one of these up here. I want to say it's under Tools. You go to Tools Options. There's a Save As option. Make sure you choose the Save As a Word document. It doesn't change at all except it ends in .doc or .docx. You want that on there. It's funny, I had a reporter who just swore up and down that she could not use this program, that she knew how to use Microsoft Office, and this was confusing her. So I said, fine. When she wasn't looking, it's called Writer instead of Office, or instead of Word. When she wasn't looking, I changed the name from Writer to Word. So she knows how to use it. She can use it just fine. Easy way to save your company a ton of money. There's another program out there. It's not as awesome as Open Office is, but it's free and it does help unless you need to use super high-end aspects. And I'm talking about Photoshop. There are programs out there that mimic Photoshop. A lot of them are freeware or you can't use them with businesses. But there's one out there, it's called XNView. Capital X, capital N as in Nancy, and the word view. And take a look at that. Is it the easiest program in the world to use? No. But Photoshop is not the easiest program in the world to use. So if you have an artist who knows how to use Photoshop really well, it won't take them that long to learn how to use XNView. The last few meetings I had people raise their hands and say, have you tried this? Do you guys have any programs that you use instead of going out and buying the more expensive version of it? Anybody? Bueller? All right. So we got those two out there then. I'm really happy with Open Office. And like I said, at our company, Suncoast Media Group, that's all we use. All righty. You can create great websites without spending any money or hardly any money. And I'm going to give you an example of what paid off for us. So what I'm about to show you, it's not a pretty website. Here's what we did. It used to be every newspaper, every product in Florida had a hurricane website or a storm website. Even advertising only type products had something somewhere on their website that would link in to something along those lines. When I was named digital editor about a year ago, one of the things I wanted to get going was a hurricane website, a storm website, and I looked around and most newspapers have gotten rid of them. They've just gotten rid of them. Like, So here's what we did. And again, you don't have to be able to see this in vivid detail, but I'm going to give you the address. It's really easy to remember this. It's yoursun.com, so yoursun.com, yoursun.com/storm. That's it, yoursun.com/storm. As you go through here, you see latest weather news. These are stories we're already running on our website. We just added a little tick to it that says, hey, when you run it on our front page or run it in this edition or that edition, also put it on our storm website. So we got the latest weather news up there. Look at this right here. I love this. Live webcams. There are live webcams in your area, and you might say, why would you have that on a storm website? Because as a storm starts approaching, if you have links to those live webcams, people are clicking on those to see what the wind is like wherever. It can be anywhere in Florida. Mine tend to just be right around Port Charlotte, Sarasota, Venice. And what I'm learning now is I just need to come up with a website that lists like the 20, 25 best webcams in Florida, period. Because what I'm finding out is the hurricane doesn't have to be coming towards us or hitting us. People still want to go and look at the live cams. And we have a few in there that are eagle cams or bird cams. And people are really interested in those because they want to see what's going on with the birds when a storm is approaching. So again, I haven't paid for any of this. As you scroll down, see this? Want to see the paths of potential hurricanes? I just put up a blase graphic. I really need to do a better graphic here. But all that does is it links to the National Hurricane Center where the latest tracks are. That's all it does. Nice and easy. This is we're with a company called Town News that puts we use them to create our website. We use their software to create the websites and tie everything together. Town News has a bunch of things that come automatically with it. One of it is weather, so I just tied in the weather on the page. Let me refresh the page so you can see this. This is a free weather radar map. And you might say, how did you pull that on your website? Whether you use an outside company or you're doing something in, most of you are probably familiar with what are called RSS feeds. You can grab certain items, and we got permission to do this. You can grab certain items. You can grab it from the National Weather Service, where you don't need permission. Remember, if it's a government website, you don't need permission. You just grab whatever you want. But you can grab stuff using the RSS feed. If you're not familiar with RSS feeds, just search RSS feed on Google. It'll give you a quick little history, but it's a very easy way to add stuff to your website. So far I haven't paid for anything. I created links to the webcams. We took our stories that were already there. We got the radar going. And then I love this part. Almost every newspaper in Florida puts out some sort of hurricane magazine or storm magazine once a year. And, you know, we have a ton of advertisers in it, and we have all sorts of things. We put up, I went through all those magazines, and we separated it into before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm. So I took all those stories that were in the various products and separated them out into 3 areas. We were able to link to this, especially as Dorian was coming. We were able to say, you need to know what to do before the storm, and we linked to this. Also, we're going to fix this, but you see we got these little links here. We're learning these little links, which used to be really common. It's hard for people to see, especially on a phone. We're going to start getting rid of these little links. So instead of live webcams being a little link here, we're just going to list the top 5 right here with little JPEGs to show them. And then there'll be a link where they go from there to go to the entire page of what they look like. I love this thing here, preparing pets for the storm. Somebody took a cat with a ton of hair. Here's a category 1 with the hair is just starting to blow. Category 2, and the hair is going and going until finally you got cats flying through the air. No cats were harmed in the making of those photos. So, again, cost me nothing other than the time spent to kind of put some of it together. We have an advertiser. By the way, this advertiser said, I want to be the exclusive advertiser on your store and website. Well, this was brand new. We didn't have any history on it. I've been told I can tell you this guy's paying more than $3,000, less than $10,000. I can tell you that. He is the only advertiser on there. It kind of wasn't looking all that great for him, and then Dorian came. And because we're putting every storm story on there and linking people to it and linking people to it, this guy got tens and tens of thousands of views because he was the only advertiser on that page. By the way, are we going to have an exclusive next year? Maybe, but he's going to pay a lot more because as hurricanes get more fierce and we have more stuff on there, they need to pay more to be on that page. Or we're not going to have an exclusive. We're going to open it up to multiple advertisers and make more money that way. So again, you can create websites out there by pulling in existing material, pulling stuff off government websites, RSS feeds, and it costs you nothing. I am not an expert on what I'm about to bring up, and I'm going to spend 2 minutes on it because that's about all I can tell you about it. But I can tell you it makes a lot of money for a lot of publications. And you can be an advertising publication, a newspaper publication, a hybrid somewhere in between. And I'm talking about events. If you're not getting involved with events, you're going to see more and more, you are seeing more and more newspapers doing events. And I'll give you a great example. In our area, we have multiple what we call best of events. Best of Venice, best of Charlotte County, best of this and that. Here's how we make money off of it. First of all, we run the ballot in the newspaper, and we have all these pages where people can vote on what they want. And then from there, once we get that, we start looking at how many award winners are going to be, and we start doing the math. We go, all right, how much does it cost for a plaque? All right, we're going to have what, 100 plaques, 110 plaques? So you figure that math out. And then, unless you know it's going to be fancy smancy, a ton of events, you have it as a lunch during the middle of the day, so you don't have to pay as much for the food. So you figure out the plaque and the food. How much is that going to be? And then you add an extra $10, $15, $20 to the total price. Again, you make some money off of that. Where do you make your big money? And this is what we do at a weekly in our company. Here's how you do it. You have the award ceremony. They want to show off that they've won. So we have these PDFs that we give them. You'd be stunned how many people make signs and put it up on their billboards, literally on their billboards, or on their storefronts or whatever that says, I am a Best of Venice winner. I actually saw a septic company that won in their category, and I'm at a stoplight in Port Charlotte, and the septic tank pulls up next to me. The truck had the Best of Charlotte thing on the side, and I thought, okay, that's a bit odd, but I like it. So you sell, here's how you pull it off. You come out with 2 magazines. And you can have one in newsprint that you call a magazine, or you actually have a magazine on magazine paper. You fill that magazine up with your best of winners. Now, they got to pay to have their ad in there, and you charge them more than you normally would because it's in a magazine type event. People love this. And when I say people, the advertisers love it and the readers love it. Why do the readers love it? They treat it like a modern day Yellow Pages. Because they go, who is the best chiropractor in town? Here's who came in first. Here's who came in second and third. It's like the best of. It is the best of. That's what we call it, the best of. So people keep this magazine for an entire year. And then we say, we're going to come out with the magazine again 6 months later because we have snowbirds and what have you and people moving in and out. And so they advertise in 2 sets of magazines, and then we say, all right, if you're going to advertise in 2 sets of magazines, we're going to give you a big, deep discount on your regular ad that you run in the newspaper from time to time. Wow. So these people, these advertisers, these businesses, they're happy that they're at the contest. They're happy that they have placed. They're happy to be in these magazines because they know they're sitting on at people's homes, and they're happy for the discount on ads that they would be putting in the newspaper anyhow. So, bam, 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 bam. You're making money off of events. So keep that in mind. I'm not the expert on this. I am going to give my business card to everybody sitting in here when we're done. I have friends who are experts on this. If you call me, I will give you the name and number, and he's right at the top of my head. He is the expert on doing events. He will talk your ear off on how to do events and how to set it up and who to use and vendors and so on and so forth. It's rather incredible. Has anybody in here done events, I'm curious, and made money off of it? And what did you do? What type of thing?
A couple of them did our business model. One of them is a conference for women called the Women's Power Caucus.
She has a conference for women called the Women's Power Conference? Power Caucus. Okay. Did you have another one? I thought you said you had two.
I'm sorry, two. Right.
I got her while she's eating.
No, right. We also cover the auto sector. It's an area that we cover in our publication,
Okay.
in our media outlet, and we produce an event around the auto industry as well. We kind of tied it to industries and the content we actually
Okay. She ties in events around the auto industry. So if that's something that piques your interest, she's sitting right here, so you can catch her when the meeting's over. All right. This one's going to seem like a no-brainer, but I'm really surprised at how many publishers do not do this. Speaking engagements. No, not what I'm doing here. I'm talking about you guys getting in front of the Chamber of Commerce or the Moose Club or whatever you have in your area. You need to be a speaker. And I'm not talking about somebody who gets up, you know, like they do at these things and you get to talk 3 minutes about your business and you sit back down again. I'm talking about you want to be a keynote speaker at one of their monthly events or their annual event. You're the owner of the local newspaper, or you're the editor of the local newspaper, or you're the editor of the massive advertising product in the area. You have a lot of experience, not only with your business, but because you have become the marketing expert for so many other businesses, you have a lot to say. So push hard and get with your Chamber of Commerce and say, I'd like to speak at one of your half-hour luncheons. They're usually stunned because they have trouble getting speakers. Get yourself in front of these groups. And you're probably already thinking and knowing why I'm saying this. Yes, some of them may only have 20 or 30 people in the room, kind of like this. Some may have 50 or 100 people in the room. But the great thing is you're speaking to the movers. There goes a cart just making its way down the sidewalk. You get yourself in front of the movers and shakers in your community, and you start talking about your product, not in an advertising way. So in other words, you wouldn't say, blah, 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 and you know where you should advertise? With us. You never want to say that. You just want to talk about something going on in industry, like how the community reacted to Hurricane Dorian in this area, and just talk about it and throw it out there. And as you're doing it, you're doing screenshots of what you did at your product. And people are going, dang, I need to subscribe to that, or I need to pick that up. Or so you find ways to weave in whatever your product is without saying you should advertise with us. It pays off tremendously when you're able to do that. People will come up to you afterwards, ask for your business card. And again, this is a free thing. You don't have to pay to speak before the Kiwanis Club or the Chamber of Commerce or the blah blah Merchant Association. Even if you have large employers in the area, sometimes they have monthly meetings where they bring in outside speakers. Look into that as well. So again, it's a free, easy way to get the word out about your group or organization. I'm curious, anybody here speak on a regular basis in the community? Who do you speak to?
I had the pleasure of speaking at the double chamber conference.
True.
But they have over 500 members. And
Wow.
this area, and my topic was, what's inside? We represent 13,000 people, 8,000 condominiums. People drive by our entrance every day. They have no idea what's inside. We explained there's 27 swimming pools. Anybody know a place around here, a community with 27 swimming pools? No, we have a golf course, 165,000. So we told them what's inside, and we told them who's inside, who lives there, the nature of them, the ethnicity of them, and then where I disagree with you, I told them how to reach it. Okay, so if you want to reach inside, you do our newspaper. Then we hired a member of the chamber to be one of our salesperson, and he's now the number one salesperson.
Woo! Okay, don't listen to me. That's pretty awesome. That's the first time I heard somebody get up and give an example of actually just saying, you need to be in this product because we're reaching those people. And now that person's our number one salesperson. So again, it's free. These are all just little free ideas. All right, staff meetings. Anytime you say staff meetings, and this is true for me and everybody else sitting in the room, if somebody says, all right, let's have our staff meeting, you know what the reaction is right off the bat. See, they're doing it already. A staff meeting. Yeah, staff meetings are only as good as you as the owner or you as the publisher or you as the editor make them. Staff meetings, they don't have to be every week. They can be every other week. They can be once a month. But you should plan staff meetings like you're having a mini event just for your staff. When I was editor of the Venice Gondolier for 6 years, we brought in the mayor to one of our staff meetings. And we just had him sit there and we said, so, what drives you nuts about our newspaper? And he told us what drives him nuts about our newspaper. And you know what? A lot of it was stuff that should drive him nuts. Like, 5 different reporters calling about the same thing. Why can't just one reporter call me? And this is something that fell on me that was my fault. Sorry, I keep smacking the microphone as I'm talking. He said he gets upset when the city council votes on something because the headline will say, Mayor votes to raise taxes. And, well, it's not just the mayor who's voting to raise taxes. The city council has to vote. It has to be a 4-3 vote for that to go on. And I kind of joked back with him, and I said, well, we add you in there because you're quite the character. And he goes, yes, I know I'm quite the character. But he brought up a lot of things. We were able to talk back and forth with reporters. The reporters learned a lot. It became an engaging exercise. We brought in a really good studio photographer on the best way to take really good portrait photography. How many times have we said we need to get a headshot of somebody for a story? Well, we all know what we do. Excuse me, ma'am or sir, can you stand for a minute? And you're trying to get the right background and not get a tree growing out of the head and you snap a few photos. We brought in this studio photographer and I believe we gave them like a free 2x3 ad. They gave a 1-hour lesson on they told everybody to bring their cameras, not your phone, but to bring a real camera, bring that in. He would show you how to use it and also show you the best ways for how to stand people or backgrounds, or if you're in a place like this, sometimes something like this makes a great background. Sometimes them tilted and leaning makes a great background. A little tip I can give you right now, this has nothing to do with saving money, but makes for better photographs. We've always had that person who, when you try to take their photo, we know what they do. I take terrible photos. Well, yeah, you take terrible photos because you get all stiff and do that. If you want a person to relax, an old-time journalist taught me this 30 years ago. He said, you tell a person to cross their legs and cross their arms. It's very hard for somebody to be tense and what have you if they're like this. Now, if they want to be a jerk about it, they can go, rrr. but it's really hard for somebody to do that. So if you have them cross their legs and cross their arms, they tend to go into a relaxed position, they tend to smile, and you get a great portrait photograph for whatever story you're doing. So nice little tip there for how to pull that off. So staff meetings, make them matter. And you might say, well, Ron, how's that saving me money? If you're bringing in people where you're training your staff, they have not brought me my food yet. Yep. Teach your staff how to do things. Bring people from the outside. Do those sorts of things so that they will learn, you'll have a better product, and you're either paying nothing or next to nothing for bringing those people in. Okay. We're getting close to the end here, and I have a few big things to show you here. But first, I need to ask this question. How many of you in this room are members of the Florida Press Association? 2 people. 3. Are you, all right, 3 publications. All right.
I'm a member of the Hispanic.
The Hispanic one, okay, so 4. All righty. I am really surprised at how many products out there are not members of the Florida Press Association. It is really a big deal if you're not a member of the Florida Press Association. I hear it get going here. You might say, Ron, why does it matter? First of all, forget about money for a minute. The Florida Press Association is your last line of defense in Florida when it comes to politicians wanting to pass laws that hurt your right to documents, that hurt your right to revenue. And you might say, well, how can they hurt my right to revenue? And I was involved with this about 10 years ago. Some representatives from Florida got together and they said, we don't think city council, we don't think any government in Florida should have to put their legals in newspapers anymore. They said, we as the state government, we're going to start a website and we're going to have everybody upload their legals to this website and they don't have to advertise in the newspaper anymore. I got to tell you, there's a ton of small newspapers where legals represent 20 to 25 to 30% of their revenue. It is a lot of money. And even if it just represents 5% of your revenue, imagine 5% of your revenue disappearing overnight. That is a big deal to see that disappear. So I worked with this group. We created a website where every publication in Florida can upload their legals. So if you're a member of the Florida Press Association, you just go to this website, upload all your legals. You have that set, and you're able to run them in your newspaper and also have them at this website that satisfied these state representatives who wanted an overarching website and said only the state could provide that website, nobody else. We did it. And it's if you get a chance to visit the website, it's called floridapublicnotices.com. It's been around for 10 years. It's very easy to use. All right, on that note, we're going to keep talking about Florida Press Association. I'm going to spend about 10 minutes and eat really fast. We're going to come back and talk about the Florida Press Association. Then we're going to talk about social media. And I know some of you are going to go, no! Oh, I got some exciting things to show you in reference to social media. And then we're going to end on a really fun note of something that's going to make us a ton of money and right now is making us fake money. And you might go, how can something make you fake money? I'll show you. All right, give me about 10 minutes. I eat really fast. All righty. Guys, we have until about 2 o'clock. Hello? Echo, echo, echo. Thank you. I feel like I'm at a wedding. Ding, ding, ding. We have until 2. The plan is for me to talk really fast on these last few exciting things, and I'm telling you, the last 2, I like to end on a big crescendo. It's kind of cool. The idea is we want to spend the last 20 minutes or so talking about what we just heard, talking at tables with each other, and just brainstorming any last minute ideas. I want you guys to leave here excited. I love the word frothy. I want you to leave here with lots of frothy ideas that you can work with. All right, we're back to the Florida Press Association. First of all, Florida Press Association, they charge you on a sliding scale depending on how big your paper is, so they're not going to charge you $9,000 if you're a 2,000 circ paper. And you might think, well, that's just for newspapers. Well, there's an advertising side to it. There's a magazine side to it. There's a Spanish-speaking side to it. So there's different aspects of Florida Press Association. Even if you got nothing back from it whatsoever, the fact that you're paying your membership dues and they're able to be out there to stand up for us is a big honking deal. There would be weekly newspapers and weekly publications that would not be in business right now had the Florida Press Association not been able to pull off creating this website and sitting down with these representatives for legals. That was a big honking deal. Every year, the Florida Press Association, and this is good for everybody in this room here, the Florida Press Association sends out a list every year of what your senators and representatives are doing to try to take away your rights from the Sunshine Law. It is stunning. You might think, oh, that doesn't happen too often. No, it happens all the time. Every year there's a list. It usually takes up 2 pages of people, just little things here and there. They'll try to throw something in that says, I don't think you should be able to look at state reviews of restaurants. You know how we can look at reviews now and see how well restaurants are doing? Somebody once tried to have that included in the law that would not be open to the public, that only the state could see their own reviews of restaurants. And she just made a face. That was a real thing we had to fight. So even if you got nothing else back from it, you have somebody out there fighting for you. And even better, the Florida Press Association, if they know it's your senator or your representative in your area, they're going to call you and say, you're the publisher in this area? Can you please meet with this representative and talk to them about what they're doing and why they shouldn't be doing that? So it's a really good synergy. So again, if you've got no monetary value back from it, the fact that they're out there fighting for you is a big deal. I don't get any money from the FPA. It feels like I'm being paid to say this. No, I'm just very passionate about journalism and about keeping alive newspapers, advertising publications, trade publications. I'm very big about that aspect. And these press associations out there, they're it. They're our last stand. Florida Press Association also has, let me make sure I'm doing this in the right order so I end the right way. Florida Press Association also has its state contest. The state contest, I know some of you are going, Ron, we don't have time for state contests, and they charge for entries, and it's a lot of work. And you know what? You're absolutely right. It's a lot of work, and they charge for entries. But here is the awesome thing about the Florida Press Association state contest. And they have categories, by the way, for everything we're talking about. There's Spanish-speaking categories. There's the weeklies are divided into 3 class sizes. The dailies have 3 class sizes for the dailies. And if you've never been to a Florida Press Association State Convention, especially for the weeklies, they're held at the same time. It's the same convention. But if you get to sit in on the weekly award ceremony, it is the Oscars for weeklies. People dress up for the weekly award ceremony, especially if you have a freelancer in the community who's placed in the contest in whatever category. they come in gowns. They come dressed up. They're wearing, you know, the fancy stuff that you would wear to a wedding. I mean, yeah, it's really a big honking deal to participate in the Florida Press Association State Convention. And you might think, well, Ron, I can't compete against some of these papers out there. They divide it up into class sizes. So if you're a weekly, there's about 10 to 12 newspapers in your size class. That's pretty nice. The daily category, if you're, I don't know if there's any daily newspapers in the room. No. I figured it was all weeklies or monthlies. They break them up into size classes, so you have real shots at placing in the contest. I can tell you that before I became digital editor for Suncoast Media Group, I was the editor of the Venice Gondolier Sun for 6 years. And then I was the owner and editor of a weekly before that. The Florida Press Association, every year that we compete in it, whatever we place in or win, we play that up on our front page. We play it up. And you might think, oh, that's kind of tacky to play up your own awards on the front page. No, because usually the publisher writes a column about it, or the editor writes a column about it, or you write a really nice news story about it. Here's how you can make it really awesome. You write it in such a way where if you've had a photographer, whether that photographer wins a category or takes second or third, you rerun that photograph. You rerun that photograph and you have a caption on it that says, hey everybody, this took second place in the blah, 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 Florida Press Association state contest. And it works really well if the publisher or editor is writing it, because you can say, remember that toll road they wanted to put through our area? Remember how we wrote 7 stories about the toll road and we got all these people involved? The judge for the Florida Press Association picked that as the best example of in-depth coverage. And here's what the judge had to say. Contest judge, not a judge. That would be funny. Here's what the contest judge had to say. When you start doing that, and you run photos of the reporter either holding the award, or you run copies of the photos, people start taking notice of these sorts of things. And they start looking and going, I do remember that story. They did run a lot of stories about the toll road going through, or this happening, or that happening. It reinforces the work that you're doing. When you place in the Florida Press Association State Convention, even if you just place 2 people, that's it, just those 2, you're running that puppy above the fold, the publisher's going to write it up, you're going to play it up to a certain degree, and if there's photos that are placed, by golly, you got to run those. Weeklies have a lot of good editorial cartoonists. We're seeing them disappear from daily newspapers. Weeklies are really getting good now at finding whether it's college artists or artists in the community who have retired who are doing editorial cartoons. Run those. Run those. And if you place in the contest, plop those up there and say, look what we did in editorial cartoon writing, and so on and so forth. At the Venice Gondolier Sun, we were very fortunate. We pulled it off. They actually have a sweepstakes trophy. There's about 40 categories you can enter in, and you get 3 points for first place, 2 points for second place, and 1 point for third. And what they do is they add up the points, and whoever has the most points for that size class is named the best community newspaper in Florida. So they have a small, medium, and large. For the past 6 years, the Venice Gondolier Sun has been named the best community newspaper in its size class, medium, in Florida. We play that up big, and you know who loves that we play it up big? The advertising folks. The advertising folks absolutely love that we play that up big, because they're able to go in and sit down and go, we are the #1 ranked community newspaper in Florida. Really? And you show off. They come ready with some of the photos and stories. That's part of their advertising package, I kid you not, to show that off. And again, you don't have to win the trophy. You can still have other examples. You don't have to win the overarching, because there's only 3 of those, but there's a gazillion other things that you can place in. The contest is a big deal. So now you start looking at the Florida Press Association and you go, all right, they're protecting us. They're trying as much as possible to stop laws from being passed that hurt us financially, or that hurt us in terms of First Amendment rights, or in terms of Sunshine Law. by golly, I can enter in a contest, and it's $10 an entry. It's not that expensive. I mean, if you entered 10 or 15 entries, $150, can you afford $150 to have a shot at placing? Yes, you can. I saw you pointing up. Is that making noise? No. Oh, okay, gotcha. It is cold. I wish I had a jacket. The acoustics are awful in here. And then finally, so you have them representing you, you have the contest, and here's the part I love. Well, I love all of it, but I like this part because I'm going to use this. In fact, I meant to use it last week and I didn't do it. If you're a member of the Florida Press Association, it comes with a free attorney. Oh! Now, he's not going to represent you in court. He's not going to, go stand in court with you. But this attorney, you can call this guy up and go, hey, I need help. Do you think we should run this story? Or, I need help. We ran this story. What should we do? Those sorts of things. You have attorney-client privilege. It's only between you and the Florida Press Association attorney. We're going to use the attorney next week and I remember this in the back of my head, and I need to sit with him or talk with him on the phone. We're going to start selling photos on our website. So photos that run in a newspaper, there's going to be an area on our website where people can buy photos. And it'll be, $10 for this. And there's a company you can tie it in with where people can say, well, I want this on my coffee mug, or I want this on a t-shirt. And it all ties in and it's way cool. But in the back of my mind, I seem to remember that there are some laws that say you can't sell photos of minors. You can't sell photos. Let's say I took a photo just of you and played that up big. I think there's a law that says I can't sell somebody's personal likeness all by themselves. Now, I can write it in a newspaper, but to resell it, I'm not positive. Now, normally I'd have to pay an attorney to go research this and look it all up. He will know this off the top of his head, what's allowed and what's not allowed. So I need to sit with him next week and go over what we can and cannot sell when we sell photos on our website. So, again, the website for the Florida Press Association is flpress.com. Again, I'm not getting any money from them. This is just me. This is a great organization. Everybody in here, if possible, should be a member of that. They're it. They stand up for us, and it's really important. All right, let's talk social media. Whenever I bring up social media, in fact, the very last one we were at, I had a friend, I know, don't cross my arms. The very last one we had, one of the publishers came up to me after and said, you will never convince me that social media is good for our product. And he said, but I'm willing to take a phone call from you. So I gave him my business card. He's going to call me next week. He wants me to talk him into using social media. Well, social media is free. We already know that. Yeah, there's some aspects you can pay for and blah, blah, blah. But social media is free. And it has how many users? Millions of users. What I see newspapers and publications do wrong is how they use social media. For example, I see this all the time. A newspaper will go out and cover a football game, and they'll have 20 or 30 photos. I won't even say great photos. They'll just have 20 or 30 photos, because it's hard shooting football at night. Unless you have a big honking expensive camera, those photos are hard to take at night. But even 20 to 30 so-so photos, people will go through a gallery of those photos. They want to see those football photos or volleyball photos or whatever, sports. I see so many newspapers upload those photos to Facebook and create a Facebook gallery. Why are you not putting them on your website? Upload the photos to your website, create a little photo gallery, and if you're not using a company like Town News that comes with a photo gallery software, there's free programs out there you can download that will create a gallery for you.
I just got a real quick question.
Yeah.
Is it okay to do like a teaser and push them to your website if they're, because
Yes.
they're in Facebook? Oh.
You're reading my mind right now. He just said, is it okay to do a teaser on Facebook? Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to take one photo and say, and it should be conversational. You should say, hey, we sent a photographer to last night's big win or big loss. Of course, you wouldn't say big loss, or heart-wrenching loss. We always come up with these great words. You would never put in there, man, we sucked last night. Here's some photos. You run one photo and you say, would you like to see the photo gallery? Here's the link. And you send them to your website. We have people next year who want to be sponsors of the photo galleries on our website. That's incredible. And by the way, even if you don't have a fancy program to do things, you know how you swipe through a photo gallery and you're looking at different photos? Why can't you go to whatever advertiser and say, we're going to sell you an ad that is the size of photographs on our website, and tell that advertiser for however much money, everybody charges different in a different market, whenever we have a photo gallery, the third photo is going to be your ad. So now you may have to upload it on the editorial side because editorial tends to take care of that. You might go, ooh, editorial's touching advertising. They're not hurting their ethics at all to upload the photo in with upload the ad in with the photos. You're not crossing any boundaries there. But is there an advertiser out there who would like to be the third photo in all your photo galleries and you give them exclusive rights to that? I bet everybody in here could find somebody who would, in their community, who would want to pay that fee. And how much do you charge? I don't know. Start slow and work your way up and see how well it pays off. Pun intended. So yes, using your website and teasing from social media. And by the way, I said this before and I can't emphasize this enough. You should be talking to your readers when you're using social media. And by that I mean be funny when you talk, be sarcastic, and you can still be serious and have attitude. And I'll give you an example. We do have a toll road that's coming through our area and ended up being the most read story on our website a few weeks ago. Toll roads coming through our area. Instead of me just putting the link up to the toll road story on Facebook and on Twitter, I went, well, people either love them or they hate them. But a toll road is coming through our area. Want to know where it's going? Want to know what people are saying about it? Take a look at the story on our website. Bing! You send them to your website. And that was a serious way. Sometimes you just have fun, you know, you can make jokes about things. Sometimes you get great photos in where you can say, holy moly, look at this photo that we got of blah, 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 blah. Have fun with it. You should be talking to the reader when you're using Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And if you look at the so-called influencers who are out there, I hate that term, but if you look at the influencers out there, why are they doing so well at influencing? Because they're talking to you. They're talking to you and they're talking about either what they're wearing or where they're eating or whatever. Why can't we do that about our product? We can. And so find a champion at your company, and it may not be the publisher, it may not be the editor. The champion for doing your social media may end up being the publisher's son or daughter who is 17 or 16 or 14 years old. That may be their best social media person in the whole company. But find somebody who can do that. And you might think, Ron, I don't have time to update 20 times a day to everything. You don't have to. At the Venice Gondolier, I did it 3 times a day. I found out what times you could post. 11 a.m. is when I knew most people were on Facebook in our area. So I made sure to post at 10:30 because it takes about a half hour to populate and get out there. And then I do one in the afternoon and one before I went home. And then I would do some on the weekend. And I just spread them out over the weekend. You may go, that's a lot of work. No, it's not a lot of work. How long does it take to say blah, 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 post the link and hit submit? It doesn't take long at all. You can do it on your phone if you have to. But use this amazing free set of products to send people to your website. Even with breaking news, you can do that. Sometimes I feel like when we put up breaking news on social media, we're kind of giving away the breaking news by putting the breaking news on social media. But you can say, there's been a major accident on I-75. Get the details by clicking here. You didn't say where on I-75. You didn't say what cars were involved. You know, you just gave them the bare bones so that they click through and you get them to your website. And by the way, we are thinking now of selling an exclusive contract, however you want to word that, to where somebody only appears on breaking news stories. So what advertiser would want to be on breaking news stories? The nice thing about breaking news stories is, you know, most people are going to click on them, especially now that we're going to newsletters and alerts and stuff like that. So what advertiser would want to be on that sort of page? I bet we can find a whole bunch who would want to be on that page and go from there. All right. Social media can pay off in a whole bunch of ways, and I'm getting near the end here. I gotta tell you, one of the ones that I made fun of early on was Instagram. It's kind of like Snapchat is today. We don't do anything on Snapchat. It's funny, Facebook was the cool thing to be on, and then as we all started using Facebook, kids said, that's what my parents use. I'm not using Facebook. And they went to Twitter and Instagram. Well, now we're kind of catching on and we're using Twitter and Instagram. Well, now the kids are going to Snapchat. I still haven't really found a cool way to monetize Snapchat. There are some papers out there that are experimenting with it. So let's focus on the things that work. And I'm going to tie this all in now. So I finally gave in and said, all right, we're going to do an Instagram account. Instagram, as you know, got bought by Facebook for, you know, a gazillion billion dollars. It is, if you need to download it to your phone, your newspaper, your product should have an Instagram site. You should have an Instagram page in the product. And I know you're thinking, but Ron, it's just photos. Then put photos up. Put photos up of what's going on at your business. Or if you're a newspaper, put your best sports photos up. We have these pages where, you know, we all run these pages of kids playing in the park, and we have these community writers or community photographers that go out and, you know, cover an event and do that. Take the 2 or 3 best photos from that and put it on Instagram. Here's the key, and I'm going to focus on Instagram because what I'm about to show you hopefully will blow your mind. As you post things on Instagram, people will start following you. Anybody who follows you on Instagram, follow them back. You know, not unless they're, you know, this local, you know, strip club in town. Don't follow them back. But otherwise, any business, any person, follow them back. And you might go, why would I follow back blah, 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 who I don't even know? Because they think of it as a celebrity. And I've seen people say, hey, the Charlotte Sun is following me on Instagram now, or blah, blah, the Venice Gondolier is now following me. They think of it as a celebrity when a big business or a newspaper or a media outlet follows them. And by the way, kind of keep your eyes open for that, because when somebody says, somebody, you know, the blah, blah followed me, just write back and go, that's right, we love your stuff, or something like that. A double now, as you get going, the Venice Gondolier, I keep using an example because I was there for 6 years. We got it up to about 2,000 followers on Instagram. It's harder to get followers on Instagram than it is on Facebook and other areas. But Instagram is where people post their best photos. So I would find myself skimming through Instagram, and every now and then I'd go, dang, that's a really good photo. And I'd flip through some, dang, that's a really good photo. And I get through that, and I finally started leaving messages for people going, hey, this is a really rocking good photograph. Can we run this in a newspaper? If so, can you email me at this address with the original? I've never had a person once say no. They are just excited like crazy that their photo is going to be in the newspaper. All right, so how does this all pay off? I know this is going to be hard for some of you to see in the room. And if you got a glare and you can't quite see it, you can come look at my screen after. Here's what happened. We had photos that were so amazing from Instagram. I asked these people if we could run it in the paper. So how much does Instagram cost? Nothing. How much did it cost me to email somebody or to text somebody and say, can I run your photo? Nothing. So I run these great photos in our newspaper that cost us nothing. They were so good that I entered them in the state contest. All these photos you're about to see won in the Florida Press Association state contest. I paid nothing. We got first places out of it, which made the advertisers happy and the ad reps happy that they were able to say, by golly, look at what we've won in the state contest. And by the way, the community loves us so much, they're submitting stuff to us that is awesome. So let's show you some awesome stuff. Keep in mind, these are from readers. Here's the first one. And if you can see that, that is a beach off of Venice. That is the Milky Way. Amateur photographer decided to just go out one night with his camera and he held it open for 1 second and then 3 seconds and then 10 seconds and what have you. He posted his best photograph on Instagram. I grabbed that, well, I wrote that person, asked if we could run it, and he did. And we took first place in whatever category. I can't remember if it was feature or reader submitted. We took first place with that one. You ready for this one? Normally we don't like a hard flash. We call it when people use a hard flash because it creates an icky looking photo. This is a mother with no photograph experience who used a camera, the flash went off, and it just happened to be the right setting. She posted this on Instagram. Whoa. Is that cool? That is a dad throwing his kid up in the air, and yes, I have done that. Every dad should do that. She snapped that photo. The flash went off just in the right way to highlight enough. And by the way, when she ran this on Instagram, this was all cut off because Instagram tends to run squarish photos. When she sent me the original and I saw that, I went, dang! That took first place in the contest. Woo! But wait. There's more. All right, this one, this is a retired, I think this is the retired magazine photographer. Lives in Venice, out snapping photos. He happened to snap this at the right time. Venice was having his fireworks show, but there was a giant storm coming in. And they were actually debating on whether or not to cancel the fireworks show. And they said, you know what, we're going to go forward with the fireworks show. And this photographer took this photo. Wow. And you know what we called this? Mother Nature versus man. We ran that 5 columns wide on the front page of our newspaper. Fantastic. And again, that's from Instagram. Instagram, the one I made fun of.
So how to credit this photo?
How what?
How to credit? I mean, put the name of the original person in the picture or what?
Yeah, when we run the photo, we say photo courtesy of, and we put their name. Some people like to sell their photos or they have a studio or something like that. We'll put photo by blah, 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 / and we put their studio address or whatever they want. I don't care. I'm getting the photo for free.
Yeah.
Not too bad. All right. This is the one you guys didn't see. I told you this is a surprise. Ready for the surprise? At our last event that we had, which was last Friday, I believe it is, I showed off what I'm showing off here. One of the publishers in the audience lives in Sarasota, has a publication in Sarasota. She knew that I was editor of the Venice Gondolier, which is right next to Sarasota. Her neighbor's son was in Venice snapped this photo, and this is where just talking pays off. Snapped this photo at a pond behind his house. She saw the photo and said, you know what? I was just at a presentation where the Venice Gondolier will run that photo. You should submit that photo, and gave him my address. Take a look at this puppy. This is going to be on the front page of the Venice Gondolier Sun tomorrow, and it's going to run big. That is an alligator eating a deer. Is that incredible? I know it's hard to see. You can come look at my screen after. Free! And you might go, well, that's really gross. No, there's no blood. There's no blood. There's nothing that's going to make people throw up or anything like that. That's an incredible photograph. It's like a National Geographic type photograph. Wow! And I didn't pay anything for it. Even better! And it's going to place in the contest. All right, we're almost done. I love showing this one off. That one's pretty cool. This one's going to blow your minds. I saw this photo on Instagram. I thought it was photoshopped. This was done by a studio. A woman owns a studio in Sarasota. She takes baby photographs. You know, you come in and stand and look all fancy, and the person, you know, you snap the photo and do that. I love this photo. So I saw this photo on Instagram, and I put a note and I said, because the other photos looked like they were taken in Venice, and I said, please tell me you took this photo in Venice. And she wrote back, why, yes, I did. I was at the Venice Jetties. So I figured out who she was. I went to her website, and I asked her if we could run the original in the paper. And as part of that email, I said, you didn't use Photoshop at all, did you? And she was kind of offended by that question. She said, only to crop it. Okay, all right, that's allowed. We ran this photo on our front page, 5 columns wide. She actually went to Publix in Venice because there's no gondoliers in Sarasota. She went to Venice to buy copies of the Venice Gondolier because she heard it was on the front page. She had the good fortune of telling the cashier she bought 5 copies of the Gondolier that she took that photo that was on the front page above the fold. The cashier went, oh, you took that photo? They went and grabbed the rest of the gondoliers. People paid for them, and she was autographing gondoliers in a grocery store. All right, you ready to see the photo? This is incredible. This is not Photoshop. This is real. Look at this.
That's a great photograph.
I'm going to let you pass that around to look at it. Okay. What's that? Exactly. By the way, she sold. Whoop. He saved it. She sold 6 copies of that photo to people who had the money to do it. She framed it, $6,000 a pop. She made $36,000 because that photo ran on the front of the Venice Gondolier Sun. Not too shabby. Okay. We really got 20 minutes to go, but I need to show this off to you because I keep joking this is a lot of fun and also my greatest shame right now. We decided, we had an old calendar program where people could enter their stuff and it would run as a community calendar in the newspaper. We knew we needed a better calendar program. We started looking around at calendar programs and we needed one that would be great online, but also that could reverse publish to print. So we needed something where people inputted their stuff online, we could hit a button and it would reverse publish to InDesign. So we looked around and we came across a company called CitySpark. A lot of newspapers use them. The Tampa Bay Times uses them. Now we use them. Here's the part you're going to laugh at. And we just had a meeting on this yesterday because this is a very good problem to have. Okay, here's the problem. This website is not live to the public, and it's kind of hard to see right now. We got with the vendor. He said, we're going to go ahead and scrape what counties are you in. We're going to scrape calendar events from the counties you're in. I also used Facebook, and I said, hey, we want to put up a great calendar. If your club or organization has a calendar online, send me the web address of where the calendar is so we can add it to our calendar. And the company went in, this company, City Spark, and scraped those web pages as well. By the way, it ended up, I got sent more than 400 calendar addresses. A lot of them are duplicates, but I got it down to about 250. So not only are they scraping the 3 counties that we cover, but the 250 additional ones that are on there. Keep in mind, this is not open to the public. We haven't told a soul about this calendar. I forgot that Google will search our website. The calendar started showing up on Google. The Moose Club was the very first club to go, oh, they got a calendar back, because we had gotten rid of the old calendar. And there is an aspect, and it's hard for those of you back in the room to see this, add an event or advertise here. So we put this calendar up. It's only been 5 or 6 weeks. One club talked to another club, which starts to 3 other clubs, which starts to 5 other clubs. We've now had 300 organizations add stuff to our website. We're averaging about 30 to 50 events being added a day. Using this website. And again, it's on our website. It's our program. I mean, it's our product. It's that vendor's property. People can, as they go through, they can advertise on the website. They can also pay money to make sure that their event appears up here in a swishing motion. They can make sure it's highlighted on certain days. Now, here's the funny part. Remember I told you about fake money? We haven't tied this in with our credit card system yet, our banking system, nothing, because we're not ready yet. We don't have an advertising rep ready to go out and sell it. We don't have somebody to call people back. We're not quite ready. And we had this big meeting yesterday of everything we need to do to monetize this puppy. Over the past 6 weeks now, people have been going in, and as they're adding their event, they have been paying to nobody to have their event highlighted. So it is highlighting online. We don't have anything in place to collect their money. We have made, in 6 weeks, without advertising, without putting this on our website, $800 in fictitious money. $800 in fictitious that we can't use because we don't have any way to charge it. Imagine what's going to happen when we put this out front, we start marketing it, we start going to the clubs and organizations. Even better, when you go in here and start using this thing, there's a little thing that says, would you like us to sell your tickets for you? We're not going to sell your tickets. City Spark is teamed up with a company called Ticket Sauce, I think it's called. They handle everything. So it's just like a Ticketmaster. You can have your ticket sent to you in the mail. You can have it where it prints out online. And people will call a telephone number, and they look at the number, and they answer it as if it's your newspaper. So because they know where the number is coming from, they have a special 1-800 number. So there is money to be made on this. For a newspaper our size, $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 a month, if not more. They charge on a sliding scale, and then they take a cut of the action. For those of you who might have smaller publications out there, can you afford a setup fee and then a cut of the action as time goes on for something like this? I'm betting most of you can afford the setup fee and then splitting a cut of the action as time goes down the road. Pretty cool. We have the ability to make a ton of money off of this, and we actually have the honest-to-goodness fun problem of we got to have a rep who can go out, because what we want to do, we want to go to this person who's at the Germain Arena in Estero or the Fan Blitz Live at Inglewood United Methodist Church, they're paying $10 every time for every day their ad is at the top. Doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you start adding those $10 up, if they want to guarantee that their thing appears in the newspaper, it's $40, and so on and so forth. All the fees are on there. If you go look at the same Tampa Bay Times, they got the same calendar. You can see what they're charging. We need ad reps who will go out to these people and say, you know what, you need to be in our entertainment magazine too, because that's where people are going to go and come and look, and get them with display ads. And we need to have other ways to get ads in there. So I'm at the very end now. I'm losing my voice. I hope I got you thinking. There's all sorts of ways that you can do a lot of great things, whether you're using the web, whether it's simple editing tricks like reading stories out loud with your reporters or editors, using interns, getting the free stuff off of Instagram, all these sorts of things. And I'm going to bring up Florida Press Association again, using their contests, using their attorney, do all of this stuff. And I kind of look around the room, we're it. You know, we're in an industry right now, yes, more people than ever are reading newspapers, but we're it. We got to help each other. We got to make this happen until we come up with enough ways to make money online that we pull this through. So stick together, share ideas. I'm going to grab my box that has all my business cards in it. I'm going to hand them out to everybody in the room. Feel free to call me anytime or email me. I love working with other newspapers and products out there. It gets me excited when I see what other people are doing. So on that note, I will hand it over to this fella.
Thank you, Ron. You did really good. In the few minutes that we have left, if there's anybody that has any questions of anybody in the room, questions of Ron, now's a great time to raise your hand and speak. If anybody has any ideas they want to share, we can do that.
I do have a quick question. Whose paper is this? Is this yours? This says, Rachel Reeves, first woman publisher and CEO of the Miami Times, dies at age 69. Florida Press Association has a Hall of Fame. She should be in it. She should be in it. So you don't have to be a member to get her in the Hall of Fame, but you need to write something up, give the Florida Press Association, and the board votes on it. So I saw that, it made me think of the Florida Press Association again. There's another thing, and they will actually honor her at the next meeting if she's one of the however many are chosen. And they read a short bio, and you would, or whoever would be the representative that comes up and talks a little bit about this person. So I throw that out there. Any questions?
Well, I have one question. Social media is
Yes.
very exciting. I know it's always, I guess that everybody, I assume, are just like our newspaper. We really work hard and we work our tails off.
Yep.
And if we want to be good at social media, it's time consuming to manage this. And you have to be regular. If 11 o'clock, it's 11 o'clock every day, or if you want to be successful. I was wondering if you have maybe take note of how many hours per week you spend doing this, and because if we need to have an extra person to do that, is it worth it?
Why don't you repeat the questions? Everybody hears the questions.
She's saying that to do social media right, do you really need to do it? Does it require having somebody at your staff who does nothing but social media? And do you really need to do it at the exact certain time every day? And how much time do you spend on it? I have all sorts of cheats for that. And by that I mean, for example, to post to Twitter and to Facebook, I always had two sets of browsers open. One for my work stuff and one for online only for posting. And I did it 3 times a day. what I would do is 3 times a day, I'd already know in my brain which 3 stories I was going to post. I would have that browser already open to Twitter and Facebook and set and ready to go. Whatever I put on Facebook, I'd write it up, I'd copy it before I hit post, and then I'd paste it into Twitter, which would be in the other window that's open. And Twitter, by the way, is a little bit different than Facebook. Sometimes you got to change it up a little bit. But I added up my time. I did it over a 2-week period. I was spending about 20 minutes a day.
But you don't write the story.
Oh, no, I'm not writing the story. I'm just linking to it 20 minutes a day. And that's for me to do it 3 times a day plus the weekend. So you got to get in the habit. I can tell you that the publisher of or the CEO, president of our paper, you will get into the habit. I mean, it's part of your job description. There's no, I don't have time. No, this needs to be part of what you do. And you get some people kind of fight back on it, but when you say it's part of your job, even if you just start up twice a day, just twice a day, the payoff is there. Anybody else? And then we'll come back to you.
I just want to say that's a really great place for a college intern.
She's back to interns.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go.
Just to continue on that, you say that on Facebook you direct them onto the website, which
Correct.
we're trying to do, but do you have like you do the article, right? That's the first one they're going to see on your website, or they have to go through the website in order to get to the...
No, you link to wherever the article is. Yeah. You don't just link to your homepage and say, go find it. No, just link right to the article. Yeah, link right to it. Yes, sir.
So, is it some way you can use the e-version of the paper? I'm talking about the full PDF version to increase your revenue.
He's talking about the e-edition.
The e-edition.
Yeah. I haven't seen somebody turn a profit off of the e-edition yet. Now, it is true, the e-edition is what looks like a PDF version of your paper where you can flip through the pages. You could sell a sponsor around that. Just some of the PDF versions will give you a little bit of room on the left or right, and you can do something like that. We use a company called Technavia to do it. We use it to increase subscriptions. So we tell, first of all, we have a paywall on our website. You can only read 3 stories and then you got to pay. It's not that expensive. It really isn't. But we tell people if you just want a digital-only subscription, they get the e-edition of it, which is great for us where we're at because we got a lot of snowbirds who we were losing that revenue when they go up north. We're not losing that, well, we're still losing some of that revenue, but now when they go, I want to put my paper on hold until I come back, we go, well, no, you can still use the e-edition. And we explain to them, oh, and guess what? They keep subscribing through the summer. They're looking at the e-edition every day because they want to see how it looks like as a newspaper versus a website. So from that aspect, is it paying off? Yes. In terms of selling ads on it, maybe somebody has an idea out there. I haven't seen anybody really do well in that aspect. It's more of a circulation, not only builder, but holding your circulation in place. Oh, way over here.
Do you know anybody that's using reverse publishing comments on social media back into print?
No. Here's what we do. At the Charlotte Sun, we have a champion of social media. She loves social media. And what she does is every week, she does this. She picks the best comments she looks at all of our websites. She picks the best comments. She grabs what the headline is for whatever that story is, and then picks the best 2 or 3 comments. It depends on what the issue is. Some may have just 1 comment, some may have 20. She picks the best comments, and we run this all on one page. We call it the members only page in our print product. And here's what we do. Wrapped around the outside are the best Facebook comments that she picks and we put in the print product. In the middle is a column that I write, and I say, here are the top 5 stories that you guys read online last week. And I don't just list the top 5. I describe the stories. And yes, I'm evil. For example, I'll say, hey, I'll go back to the toll road again. People are really upset about this toll road. They're having this and they're doing that. In fact, they're so upset, it was the #1 read story last week. Want to know where the toll road is going? Want to know what people are saying about it? You need to read it on our website. And by the way, and I put this in parentheses, I say something like, you're going to hate me for this, but you only get 3 free articles. But come on, it's only $15 a month to read our newspaper. You can do it. You know, something like that. What is amazing about that column that we run every week, this is hilarious. The column has ended up being one of the most 5 read things on our website. So a column about the most read things ends up being one of the most read things because we put it on our website and people go, ooh, this is the most read stuff. I want to see that thing. It's almost like an Oscar, giving you an Oscar for an Oscar show. It's that sort of type of thing. So, yeah.
So you're using...
We are using it. I don't know of a program out there. Maybe somebody does. I don't know of a program
I
that's
wasn't talking
reverse
about
publishing.
technology. I was just talking about doing it.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We grab the best
Do
comments.
you grab the name of the post?
Yes.
Or do you...
Yeah, because it's public. It's public. So now, what we don't post, you need to be careful of this. A lot of times people will put stuff out there where they make fun of a business or a person, and they'll go, don't go to blah blah car dealership. They'll steal your money, or they'll say something really libelous about a politician that we would never allow in the newspaper. When you're grabbing comments, you're taking responsibility for those.
Right.
So make sure when you're grabbing comments, you're thinking that in the back of your brain. It's okay for people to say certain things about businesses and what's going on, but just be wary. You do not want to reprint something that's libelous because it's like letters to the editor. You wouldn't rerun a letter to the editor that's libelous. We know as editors all the time. We throw those out next, and we get the next letter to the editor. Same is true with comments. People can post whatever they want on Facebook. It's open to the public. A business can sue a person if they post something libelous on Facebook. You don't want them suing you because you reprinted something libelous. So keep that in the back of your mind. But for the most part, comments are pretty darn good. And for the most part, you can read them or use them. I can tell you that I don't try to go through and fix all the grammar because you'll spend hours and hours if you're going to try to fix all the grammar. So we just put a little note that says, for the most part, this is how people posted it. So, you know, they'll go, yo, this is a great thing, or I'm all for this, or I can't stand this toll road, ... So I clean up where I can so it's understandable. But yeah, you don't want to get in that position when you're trying to edit everything and add proper grammar. You'll spend forever, and also you kind of take away that look and feel of how Facebook works. Anybody else? Alrighty.
Okay, one last thing. In the middle of all your tables is a pot of lottery tickets. Underneath each seat at the table is a little piece of paper. I think it's taped to the underside of the table and it says winner on it. If that's in front of you, you win the 10 lottery tickets. If you're at a table that has only 2 people.
Under the table?
Yeah, it's under here somewhere, I think. Well, those are you guys', so. Under here? Should be right along, right, you win.